Like, I think the key thing that happened in the gaming industry was that basically, like, you started designing, I guess, like, people designed games that they wanted to play, like in Halo. Like, there was no, like, when games like Halo or Homeworld were being made, right? There was no, like case study to go off of like, oh well, this is like a successful game, so it's like, okay, we're gonna make the idea of the successful game, and and like, how do you do that? It's like you make a game that you envision, you have like a vision, right?
Yeah.
And then games kind of turned into, it's like, oh, this weird relationship between the game and its fans, right? And it's like, oh, we have to like deliver for this kind of audience, and we have to envision this kind of like hypothetical like audience member, and we have to gauge their opinion to these updates, or like to these changes in the new version of the game, the new, edition that's coming out or something. and
Yeah.
and it became kind of like this customer relationship where they're like trying to make this thing work, right? And of course that's never going to work, because once you corporatize something like that, it's the relationship is never going to be genuine, right? It's always going to be like, oh, what can we get away with? But
Yeah.
I think like the best games are like this, like, I don't know. I was playing Squad the other day, and I was playing with a developer, and he was like, he joined my squad, and he was like, Wenda was his name, um, and he was like, yeah, is the new update performing well for everyone? He's like, literally asking. He's like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, it's performing pretty well. I just can't run the game at 1080p anymore. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, that's how it goes. But like, they're out here, and I'm like squad leading for this guy, and he's literally playing the game how the players play it. I don't think like that happens. Maybe I'm out of touch with how these people do it, but I don't know. If I was working on a game 12 hours a day, I would definitely not hop into my own game. I would just be
Yeah.
outdoors.
I think something as well that could be said as well is that if you look at like kind of how a lot of like mainline American game studios function now, where so many of them are no longer like these small companies. These are like huge fucking big ass like publicly traded corporate entities that are suddenly now like it's not just because it's not just like it's not like a situation where the only thing that the people making these games like that your designers, it's not like the designers are just beholden to themselves now to like make a thing that they like. It's also like you have a fucking the fact that like Activision Blizzard needs to, or like EA needs to do like a fucking investors call every year,
Yeah,
that like there are suddenly a huge amount of voices that are in the dev studio which are talking to the people making the games, which care literally nothing about other than how much money you're making, and that the number on the stock is going up every year. And like I just don't think you can make innovative products in a mindset like that at all, or at least I think it's very difficult.
yeah. Well, and
'Cause-
you're going off of like R&D, and like you have to basically justify everything you're proposing with like psychological research, or like or just R&D and all of these things. It's just like you can never have the really off the cuff artistry where it's like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we had this in the game, right? Like,
Yeah, no, that's true because you can't just be like, I want to put a feature in, and it's like, cool, let's put the feature in. It's like, I want to put a feature in, and then there's like six levels of like, but why are we putting the feature in? And do you understand how many man hours this is going to take away from the studio? And da 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 da, because like every fucking minute has become like a valued piece of like economic
yeah,
fucking time,
yeah.
which is just terrible. It just sucks.
Well,
Like,
that, and like now you have to have like Easter eggs like cleared with like a department head or something. I don't know. I was watching the Bungie documentary. Yeah, so it's like all the Easter eggs that were done in like Halo 3 could like never be done now for various
no,
reasons. Yeah.
I still don't even know how they managed to get the Combat Evolved Magnum into Destiny. I don't know how the fuck that happened.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
like
they probably said like, oh, they probably had like a whole, they had to have a meeting and be like, oh,
yeah, they
this will be popular with the fans for XYZ reasons, and it will, return us revenue in this way, or it'll return us like
yeah
player loyalty, right? Because they have this
they had the,
weapon, like
and they
it.
have to go like grab. And they're well, what blows my mind about it too is that they're no longer even the IP owners. Microsoft owns the fucking IP, so they
Oh,
had to like
really?
go to Microsoft on their fucking knees probably to get the ability to put that shit in, right? Like,
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know the story about it, so yeah.
no, they haven't talked about it.
Wow.
It's wild because it's not just that. There's a bunch of they put a bunch of I think I talked to you about this a little bit. They put a lot of like Combat Evolved Halo stuff into the game because they did their 30th anniversary thing,
Hmm.
and it was interesting because all the other stuff that they put in, they like openly called out what it was. They were like, "Oh, this is an armor set based on like Marathon or like like da 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 based on like whatever." And then they didn't say anything about the Halo stuff, and then they put the Halo stuff in. They kind of dropped it as like a surprise.
Wait, Bungie's not owned by Microsoft anymore?
No, they're owned
Oh,
by
okay.
Sony, dude.
I guess.
They got bought out by Sony for like
Oh, that's
several
right.
billion
Yeah, I
actually the other
remember.
day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No,
That's right.
they've been independent. For it was they were owned by Activision Blizzard after they left Microsoft
Yeah.
after Reach,
And they
and they
didn't.
lost the Halo IP.
They didn't want to
Yeah.
make the fucking Halo anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, so they lost the Halo IP,
Understandably.
and then understandably, and then got bought by Activision Blizzard, and then broke off their contract with Activision Blizzard for like 2 years, and then just got acquired by Sony like last month.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I remember reading about that. Yeah. I mean, it's good.
Yeah.
Uh,
No.
yeah. Like, honestly, like I'm just done with like Halo. Like I don't fucking care. And I don't know anybody who really does. Like,
I mean, I think everybody here liked Infinite's multiplayer, but like, or at least a lot of people we know liked Infinite's multiplayer, but just like, man,
I was trying to get emotionally invested in the story, and I was just like, I just don't fucking care.
it's
Like,
over. But it's over, man. It's been over since Reach.
yeah.
Like,
I was just
fucking,
I was trying to like envision
uh,
what they could do to make me care, and I couldn't come up with it. I couldn't come up with a single thing.
yeah, well, it's like, but that's true, right? Because like the narrative is done. Like that game had not that game. The franchise had a complete, fulfilling narrative arc over 3 games, which ended a decade ago.
It's a trilogy, yeah.
It was a trilogy. It's done. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if you really want to talk about this shit, this goes bigger than the game industry. This is a problem with like the modern media landscape. That's like the fucking retread, the reboot crap. It's why nobody likes any of the new Star
Well,
Wars
same with
movies.
the young
Like,
adults.
yeah.
Young adult
Oh
stuff. It's
yeah,
like
young adults crap.
nobody wants to read anything kind of new because I don't know. It takes effort to uh, like actively because like I don't know when you create art and stuff, it's kind of actually like an effortful process to like um, you know interact with an author and really like form a good picture of like the narrative and world that's trying to be delivered to you and like kind of make sense of like the what the author is saying and stuff. It's like that like that takes effort. Like people want to just like see the same thing presented in new ways. And I mean yeah, there is a lot we have a lot of storytelling in modern times, but I don't know if any of it is really how worthwhile this huge volume is and how worthwhile it'll all prove to be.
It'll prove to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just like can we just stop making Halo games? Can we just stop making Gears of War games? Like, can we let all these series, which are like, I was about to say past their expiration date, but then I just realized that, as I was saying earlier today, Modern Warfare 2019 is peak Call of Duty. So go ahead and make more of those because I love that shit. But like these games that are fucking just these franchises that are just it's like they should have been done a while ago. Like, God, just fucking stop, man. Like
Yeah.
who cares? Really?
I mean, people still buy it, so
I guess, man.
as long as people buy it, they're making bank supposedly. But
Franchises. The concept of a franchise has had. What's
I
the fucking
I
Ted
wanna write one
Kaczynski
of these-
quote?
I want to write one of these games, and clean up on all the royalties or whatever.
Yeah, what's the Ted Kaczynski quote that the Industrial Revolution and its consequences have been disastrous for the human race? The franchise concept and its consequences have been disastrous for the media landscape.
The gaming industry, it's been so bad. I just I want a real game.
Me want new thing.
Yeah, like it's tough because I think like to make games not suck, we're gonna really actually have to like do some real introspection, like as to like what is a good game and like what is time worth like spending in a video game. It's like and what kind of experience is worthwhile. But I don't think anybody's really willing to to systematize that or do any of the real like research into this, like beyond you know profit sharing. I mean, like this conversation is just like, oh, games for profit bad, but like there are, like, I'm sure there's a ton of like resources that these studios have at their disposal, and it's like, I don't know, if they
Yeah,
got a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
if they got a little bit creative, I'm sure like they could accomplish something really cool.
I mean, yeah, and it's like I don't know. It's just when you talk about what is like time spent valuable and like what is it? I don't. There's a fucking. This is such a dumb guy from the quote to come to, but I think the quote is just 100% true. That it's just like incredibly accurate, which is that it's this fucking thing that Asmongold, the fucking WoW streamer,
Oh
said,
yeah, that guy.
which is which is 100. This is 100% true though about game design, which like I like like love him or hate him, he's probably not the he fucking streams WoW for a living. I don't think he's like an intellectual titan. No offense,
He's a
but he
philosopher.
said this. He said this. It's so true. He said on stream that a bad game wastes your time and a good game makes you want to waste your time,
Yeah.
which is like so fucking big brained
Yeah.
that like it's just fucking true. It's just
But
so
I don't know if it's
yeah.
cringe to say this, but I think a lot of my time like playing Squad or Arma, like I mean, yeah, like a lot of it is wasted time, but really, like
Yeah.
I think a really good game, it's not just wasted time. Like you really actually do take something away from it. Like
Yeah.
uh,
Even if it's just like it just makes even if it's just fun, like
like I don't get
I'm
lost
doing
in the woods because I play Arma. And it's like
yeah,
literally that's the only reason why, I learned
yeah,
manual land nav in Arma, and like
yeah,
or like I learned like like I'm a way better leader at squad, like my leading teams in school or at work, like I have a lot less anxiety because of just desensitization of just being in squad and just being task saturated and trying to deal with that,
yeah.
yeah, but yeah,
It definitely I don't know, man. It's
most won't
just
admit this.
what are like I'll admit I'm doing terrible time wasting shit right now in Destiny. I'm doing some incredibly brain dead fucking crap in Destiny right now, which is like just literally meaningless clicking. But it doesn't matter because I know that next weekend when I go do like the day one raid thing, like if that experience is like a huge fucking like it's definitely like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be memorable. It's going to be very entertaining, and I don't mind the fact that this is like quote unquote a waste of time because it's building towards something that matters. And I don't know if there's anything that I've taken out of Destiny. I don't know. I've met some cool people in it. I think it's definitely helped me. I'll say this about a lot of MMOs and a lot of like the grindy games that I played.
Mhm.
I definitely think it's helped me think in ways which like allow me to optimize my time in real life better, like 100%.
Yeah,
Like like as cringy as that sounds, it's like when I'm fucking sitting here and I've got like a fucking day to like do leveling and shit, and I have to sit down and like when you get good at being able to sit down and be like, I got to go do this in this exact order in this time frame, like that's literally something that will just port over one to one to just everyday life. Like time
yeah,
management is a thing.
yeah. No, for real. I think people often, most won't admit this, but sometimes games aren't a waste of time, but most of the
Most
time
won't
they are.
admit it,
But don't.
but most of the time
But
they're
also,
terrible.
it's cope to say that it's completely not wasted time.
Yeah, it's
So
cope.
yeah, but I mean,
Uh,
'cause
God.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Sometimes I look at my hours and I'm like, really, should I have
yeah,
done that?
like most things, the real truth of the matter lies somewhere in the middle, which sucks because centrism is cringe.
It's true. It's really
Yeah,
this. That is that
I
is
hate it. I
that is
hate
the
it.
biggest tragedy of all.
This is
Oh
the
my
biggest tragedy
gosh!
of all. That centrism is usually right, but it's also cringe.
I finished
Fuck.
I finished it. It's
Nice.
done. The lake is done, and now I can go get food. So
Mm.
with that, yeah, I guess we'll end the first episode of the podcast.
Oh my
The
god.
the,
We
the game
should.
com-
We should.
Oh no, it's already recorded. I'm hitting F9.